So we had to make the best use of our time right now. Okay, next page 6. This is the Kiyosaki model. And we start out in the upper left-hand quadrant. How many have had a regular 8 to 5 job? And some of us have that now, still. And I remember when I started in the real estate business, I was driving the school bus, I was working at the mortuary, I was driving ambulance, and I was trying to do real estate part-time. All those things at once. Had 2 children, married, of course. And with that, sorry, I didn't mean to make you
roll your
judge
eyes
me.
when you do that.
Sorry. Anyway, responsibility was the point, and had recreational pursuits. So a lot of activity, a lot of things, a lot of time draws, but I had to provide because we had 2 small children. My wife couldn't work, and neither one of us went to college, so we had to work, and we were not major job earners. We didn't come out of college with a big degree and start with a high salary or anything. So we worked a lot of jobs, took a lot of time of our time to make that regular income for survival, so that we could buy our home, begin to buy investment homes, and I could phase into a single job that I enjoyed more than the 5 or 6 other jobs that I didn't care for as much. So we've all been employees, and it, again, it's really good to have a spouse that has that income that's dependable, so that we can grow and maybe take a little more risk, or we can invest the money that we make on the real estate side. And then under S, we become self-employed. We now have gotten our real estate license, we've gone into the business, we're going to be making all this big wonderful money, and we're going to work for ourselves, and we're going to develop other sources of income through that industry, through the real estate industry. And then we kind of graduate up into the B, upper right-hand corner, and being a business owner. And as individual agents, you are a business owner. And that's why we want to learn how to run our business like a business. But then the next level is you begin to develop a team and leverage your time. And you have people working with you, for you, so that you can have more income, more net income, and have a higher quality of life. You duplicate yourself, you duplicate your systems, and you get into that situation where maybe you hire a buyer's agent, and maybe you as an experienced person bring on somebody young that's not as experienced, that needs a more steady income, reliable income, needs the leads being generated. You're generating so many leads you can't manage them at all. You can't even begin to manage them, and you're not returning phone calls on buyer leads. And there's just a lot of stuff that you're not doing, you should be doing, that someone young that needs it could be doing. And that's where the team can really work. And maybe the young person's not going to stay on your team for very long. Maybe they're not going to stay 2 or 3 years. Maybe 2 or 3 months, depending on how the relationship goes. But in time, they're going to be able to fly on their own, and they can become more of the self-employed person, and at some point then they come back and move up into that upper right-hand quadrant and become more of the business owner. Okay? Kathy, do you have materials?
Sorry.
We ran out of the shoes.
Oh, can
Can we make a copy?
yeah, let's get that to Renee to copy.
Sorry.
So with that, and that's Kiyosaki's theory, is becoming the business owner. And then as we age and we get to a point where we're ready to retire, then we move to that lower right-hand quadrant where our money that we have saved, that we've invested, is now working for us. And we can retire comfortably, and we have our Social Security, we have our retirement funds that we've set aside, we may have some, our personal residence is paid, we don't have the requirement for as much money, we have rentals. We should, as real estate people, all have rentals, not a rental, but rentals. And we're in this business, we know this business, we're selling investment property all the time. We need to own our own properties. And you need to start buying them when you're young so that you can get a 30-year loan and you can pay every payment on that, and 30 years later it's paid for. So if you're 30 years old and you get a 30-year loan, at age 60 it's paid for. And if every 3 years, let's say every 5 years you bought another home, so you bought one at age 30, bought one at 35, bought one at 40, bought one at 45, you bought one at 50, that's 5 homes. And then when you turn age 50, that last one you bought at age 50, you put on a 15-year loan so that age 65 is paid for. And the others, you know, the one that you bought at where did I start?
30.
Okay, is paid off at 60. The next one's paid off at 65. Well, at age 50, you go through and you refinance all of them, and you put them on 15-year loans, so at age 65, you now have 5 rentals that are paid for. And if each one of them was bringing in a net of $1,000 a month in today's numbers, that's $5,000 a month of income. Plus, in today's number, if you've been a good earner, you're probably going to make a couple $1,000s a month of Social Security. Your house is paid for. You have a retirement account. So you should have an income of $5,000 to $10,000 a month that you can comfortably live on. Okay? Now, if you have that in your mind and it's all laid out, and you start to lay that out at age 25 or 30, it's much easier to work through that and know what your goal is and know what you need to accomplish. Many of us haven't done that, so we're at age 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 90, and we're still working because we can't stop working. We've got to have that income trickling in. So, and you need to buy your home early and have it paid for so that you don't have that responsibility. So really all you're doing is buying food. You've got Medicare, taking care of your health care. You've got to buy a few supplements. Anyway, with that, I'm happy to talk to you about your life plan as you work through and get that all put together. So, here's another exercise, page 7. Right thinking.
Don't have a 7.
No page 7s?
Page 7. Does anybody have a 7?
Anybody have a 7 at all?
I do, the one I just made.
The one you just made?
Do you want me
Okay.
to go make more?
Yeah. Let me see if I have one. Nope.
How many do you need?
16. 17, 18, like that.
We don't have a 10, 11 either.
10, 11, and 7.
6.
10 and 11 also.
Okay. You don't have 10 and 11 either?
10, 11. Kathy, do you have 10 and 11?
She could do
7
it.
through 11. Okay, we're
We
going
have
to...
8, 9, and
Okay, that's 8, 9.
7, 11.
So 7, 10, and 11.
All right, I'm going to pass this out then. We will set it away. Okay, anybody have any more comments about what we've been talking about so far?
Yeah, so
Maria.
what you just said about buying houses and me turning 40 this year, I feel like I'm behind.
You need two.
So then,
You're 2 houses behind.
I know.
So as you get that flip done and you have the money, then what you may need to do is you may need to say, okay, let's not go buy another flip, let's buy a house that we got our income now, we need write-offs because we're making all this money, and I can tell you, when you own a lot of rentals, you don't pay a lot of taxes, and with that, you can begin to save money that you're normally paying in taxes, you're going to get a refund each year. Maria,
What about,
we'll come back to you.
Well, I was gonna say, if you can scrounge enough money to buy the rental, the tenants are paying for it, so you don't have to worry about the payments.
Yeah.
So all you have to have is you might have vacancies, but you have to pencil it out to where it works out, but the tenant is really paying for it.
In the 70s and 80s, it was really popular to buy a house for nothing down, and it could be done fairly regularly. Okay? In the 2005 to 2015, it was easy to buy a house at this price, put this much money into it, and sell for this much money. Okay, and that whole flipping thing was a real easy thing. It's become much more difficult now to flip a house and to make money on it. And you know, there's several of you have been very successful at that. But I can tell you, it is still possible to buy real estate for $0 down. I can tell you, I did one today, closing today on a property, $0 down. And that's a whole other class that we can talk about. Right off the bat, you get 3 or 6% off the top. And that's how I bought the one that we're closing on today, is that I rolled the 6% commission into the down payment, and because of the relationship with the seller, they were willing to finance 100%. And so I signed a note to pay, and we reduced the price by 6% plus what we knew that they were gonna be comfortable with, and gave them a nice interest rate of 5% for 5 years, and it's a win-win-win-win all the way around. And it's very possible to do that. You just have to put that in your mind that that's what you're looking for, and you begin to, with a passion, looking for that every day. And we cut you off, you had another thought.
Oh, well, I feel like I gotta get rid of my student loan debt before I can move on to something big like a house.
Excellent. So you know that that's in front of you, that's what's holding you back.
Yeah.
So if you can identify that and you can say, okay, all I have to do is get rid of the student loan. And now I live every day to make another transaction that I can do. If I could do 1 transaction a month, I could do 2 transactions a month, and that second transaction is going completely and totally to the student debt. And if I have a spousal income that we can live on 100%, then I can focus on getting rid of the school debt, accumulating enough money for a down payment, finding the right property that I can buy with a little bit down and get it taken care of. If you don't own your first home yet, we need to fix that right away. Okay? And that needs to be the passion that you're going to work for. Okay? If you don't own your first rental, that's the passion we got to work on. We've got to get that first rental. Some of us are behind time-wise. So maybe you don't have the temperament or the stomach or the patience to have a rental, but I tell you, you are in the business and you can write off so much money on the rental side that other people cannot because you have a license and you're in the business. Whole other class. Okay, so I've passed out several things. We're going to talk about our thinking. And this is 7 through 11?
Yeah.
Well, that's just 7.
Seven, you still need more?
I didn't read it.
Oh my gosh.
That's 7?
So add that one.
Who else needs it?
That one.
Did you get one?
All right.
Okay, are we short 7s?
No,
Just the cup.
I don't know. Get one there? I know, it's a serenade.
You say you got more sevens?
You know that's wireless, right?
Sorry, here.
And an Android.
Thank you.
I don't know.
This is 11s.
I need 11. Here's 11. 7. 10. You guys got all 7s?
Diane needs a
I don't even know what I got. You got 10? She's giving out 10.
Yeah, we need 7 through 11, I think.
And 11. Oh, wait, we only have
7
10.
and 11.
No, 7, 10, and
11.
11. Thank you.
Go to Vegas.
Kathy, do you have any more 7s?
Yes. Just give you my master.
I have 11.
10 and 11.
Go fish.
Go for
Yeah, go fish.
10?
Got 10.
10?
Again? We got 10. We got it. That's okay. We got it. We got it.
10, got 10.
Here's 2 more
We got 10 and 11.
Yes, I should
You got those.
regular.
Susan.
Yeah, you got
Okay.
All right, now that we all have 7.
7, 10, 11, everybody good? I have to go to Vegas for that.
Last call. Okay, on page 7. We'll take a break here in about 10 minutes. Page 7.
What are we doing with this then?
Yeah, well, I was going to skip to that, but we got our 7 pretty quick. Okay, so page 7. I want you to read it. I want you to underline or highlight the things that hit your mind. Take just a couple minutes and read through that, page 7. Underline the stuff that really hits you.
Everything started at 7.
I like the song. Yeah.
One more minute.
No.
Okay. And I would encourage you to go back and read your notes and make a lot of notes on it. As you look at my, I mean, I've made a bunch of notes on this, just things that I want to talk about, but also things that are important to me because I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you. So on page 7, we've read that now. Share with me some of the highlights. What really hit home for you? Kathy?
Avoid people who are chronically bored and depressed. It is so, so true. I had a really good friend for many years, and she just constantly brought me down every time I visited with her. I chose to not visit with her anymore, and it made a difference.
And you would rather be visiting with somebody that's gonna, when you're done, I mean, you walked away energized.
Yeah, when I talked to her, I walked away like frozen in time, like, oh my gosh, what do I do now?
Okay. Anybody else? What else? What'd you underline, Rick?
Underline, well, it's just, it's your attitude, I mean, your frame of mind.
Okay.
Okay, it's just, yeah.
It's your donut. It's blocking your
It's my jelly donut.
I have two things.
Life is like a donut, okay? Okay, and there's an awful lot of jelly inside, but we choose not to see that jelly, okay?
It's all about your thinking.
Yeah.
You choose not to see the jelly inside. That's very wise.
But your body's saying there it
And
is.
Rick is one of those guys that energizes you every time you talk to him. But you gotta think. I mean, he's not gonna just deliver it out like that. You gotta.
You gotta be the donut.
Yeah. Okay, Lisa.
It's just taking care of our thoughts. And as I looked from the past year, I came up with my focus on my thoughts, and it was consistently enthusiastic effort. And I mean, it's just, again, it's those words, but it's keeping those words in my thoughts. And above that is just setting my focus daily with my devotions first thing in the morning. It's just taking care of our thoughts, and the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Whether you have a devotion time, meditation time, exercise time, whatever, you have to prepare your mind for the day. Okay? And we all do it in a different way. So Todd, then back to Melissa.
I like the sentence, observe people who are consistently happy, creative, and productive.
And I like to add the word consistently again. Observe people who are consistently happy, consistently creative, and consistently productive. Surround yourself with that. If you are the average of your 5 closest associates. So if you're not happy with it, maybe you need to change that up a little bit and get to a situation where you're now associating with a more positive, a more productive, and a more healthy environment. Melissa.
I think a lot of this, you've got to be self-aware. So I think you can go through days or months where you can be like a negative Nelly, and you're not even really aware that you are so down. A couple years ago, my husband and I stopped and talked about it, and we were trying to one-up each other with how bad our days were. And we didn't even realize that we were doing that. We were comparing, oh my gosh, I had a kid poop on my floor today at daycare, and he's like, well, you wouldn't believe what this guy did to me. Well, no, no, wait, Molly did this. And then we were like, oh my gosh, they're not even in our home. Why are we taking up our valuable time off with talking about other people? They don't care if we hurt their feelings. They don't care that I pooped on my floor, Their parents don't care that I had to clean it up. That was my job. So why am I ruining the time with my husband? We weren't aware of ourselves. We were hearing each other, but we weren't aware of our own thought process.
Great point. Anybody else before we move on? We are a product of our thinking. Most people don't progress because they place limits on themselves, which usually show up in the form of excuses as to why they can't. I want you to look at this page. This is Tammy's favorite. We often limit ourselves, and I speak with sellers sometimes about them and their thinking and the limitations that they have put on me trying to sell their house because they're mentally not ready. They are not prepared to sell their home. I'm prepared to sell your home. You've hired me to sell your home. I'm trying to sell your home, but you are not ready to move. You are not ready to sell. The market has rejected your home for the last 6 months. We've done price reductions, I've done open houses, I've advertised in the paper, I have it in multiple listings, I've put it on the internet on 36 different websites, and you have not sold your home. Why do you think that is?
Because we need a certain amount of money to move to Orange County.
Okay, so you're not ready to move to Orange County yet. Yes, we are.
Well, we'd be there today, but, you know, we're just waiting for that one person to come in and pay our price.
Right. And if I can't deliver that person to you, what are you going to do?
Well, I don't know.
Are you willing to wait till the market moves up to the point, or do you want to move to Orange County today at what the market will give to you?
Well, everything is so expensive in Orange County. We just have to have X dollar.
How badly do you want to be in Orange County?
Well, we'd be there today, but we have to get X dollar.
Okay, I cannot get that for you, for your home. So, is it more important to go to Orange County now, or is it more important to get that money for your home and wait the 2.5 years for the market to catch up?
But the appraiser said it was worth this.
Okay, is the appraiser willing to write the check for your home today?
Now they're gonna throw in, well, maybe I can find another realtor who can sell it.
And you probably can. And you might be able to get them at a discount, because they're gonna tell you what you wanna hear. But if you want me to continue marketing your home and getting it sold, I need to be on the same mental page with you. Because for me and my business, I'm working to sell your home, I'm doing everything possible, but I cannot accomplish my job if you are not ready to sell your home.
Well, how much are you talking about moving it down? I mean, really?
I
5,000,
I have,
10,000, or 50,000?
I have a
Did you have that
plan.
discussion yesterday or this morning?
I'm working on it. It's coming.
Breakfast is every day.
So with that, let me share this plan with you and see how it fits for you. If you truly want to be in Orange County and you're willing to see what the market will pay you for your home, I'm willing to take some time. I'll keep working on this listing. I'll put the same advertising dollar into it and continue to market with the same enthusiasm. But what I want to do is I want us to make a 5% reduction today, and then in 2 weeks I want us to do a 1% reduction every 2 weeks. So that looks like at $400,000 listing price that we have right now, that's a $20,000 price reduction today.
475.
Oh, you have a
I'm
real,
getting mine.
you got a real
We're getting
case. Okay,
into
so
it,
we're
yeah.
at 475, so 20%
I
of that
need
is,
to get it down to 429 or 399.
so that's approximately, wow, 20%. That's a big reduction of 475.
Well, give me the ammunition.
Okay, so you could lower that to 10%. You could do a 10% price reduction to start, and then every 2 weeks you're going to systematically lower the price to the point where you find the market is. And I, as your realtor, I'm going to bump up my advertising. I'm going to bump up the number of open houses. I'm going to make sure that we're doing everything in there. I'm going to rewrite all the comments in the MLS, and I'm going to do everything possible. I'm going to give it a full court press, far beyond what I've done already. I will continue that, and we'll go another 2 months, and we're going to let the market tell us what your home is worth. If you really want to go to Orange County. Now, if it really doesn't matter and you really want to hold out that price, I can do that too. But I can't commit the same energy and effort in full court press because mentally you're not ready to move. Does that make sense to you?
And the time that has gone by, both people have now retired, so they don't have the same income that they did a year
Oh,
ago.
yes, they probably do.
Well, they probably do, yeah, but I mean, realistically, they may look at that. And the thing is they're not listening that at the same time that they're waiting to get this dollar for their house, that the one in Orange County is
Going up
going
faster.
Faster.
Yeah, much faster, yeah. So with that discussion, I mean, communication is huge, and you never have those discussions by text, email, and ideally not even by phone, that you do it in person. Rick?
It's so powerful, as you're doing the role play with it, it's so powerful to have the customer, the client say, okay, what it would take, okay, for them to, you know, to reduce the price, how important it is for them to move to Orange County. It's so important for them to say it out of their own mouth as opposed to you as the agent. So if they get to the point, and I know I've talked in the past about hard costs, soft costs, but this is so important, and I've like a broken record, this intangible piece. Okay, what dollar amount could they put on the importance of them being in Orange County, whether it's because of family, whether it's because of health, whatever the motivation is to move to Orange County? Can they quantify that into a dollar amount? What is that worth to them? Is it 5,000? Is it 10,000? Is it 20,000? Okay, what is that piece of it worth to you? Give me a dollar. And then they say it. Okay, then let's reduce it by that amount because it comes out of their mouth.
Yeah. And if you're not doing all this, you're not advertising, you're not holding open houses, you're not, you don't have it, you know, on the websites and stuff, and you're not doing everything you can, then really that needs to have been consistently done so you can demonstrate that to them. Hey, here's all the ads I've done. This is what we've got going on. We've got, you know, pictures. We've repositioned it. We've done a couple of price reductions. Anyway, Kathy, you had a comment, and then we're moving on.
I did the exact same thing you said about a week ago with a client. I had him in my office. I got a hard sell house out on Merton Valley, and I put a plan together as to when to do price reductions. We're going to do one now. We're going to do one just before I do my next newsletter. We're going to feature your house. You know, you tell them what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And when he first walked in my office, no, we're not doing the price reductions. I've got 3 planned price reductions for him. And it worked.
Yeah.
Because they have a grandchild on the East Coast. It's their only one, and they want to get over there and be with this 18-month-old.
And when that is signed, that plan is signed, they will make a mental change that they're now ready to sell,
Yeah.
and mentally they're prepared, and they're prepared for the offer that might be lower, they're ready to negotiate, they're much more mentally on your side.
Their mind is starting to accept multiple price reductions, which is what it's going to take to get that house sold.
Do you think it was helpful that they sat in your office versus you sitting in their home?
I don't know for sure.
I think it was.
Maybe because, you know, it could be an influence thing with, you know,
Out of
I have
the
awards, I have this, I have
environment
that
into your
all over my
professional
office.
environment.
And out of
And
the
it
emotional
reflects that I
Yeah, I'm
may
gonna do that.
know what I'm talking
I'm
about.
not going to them.
I need you to come to my office, we need to have a serious conversation.
Now it's your
We
turn.
need to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have learned that a little bit, that if we can get them to come into the office and meet us in the office, they're much more receptive to whatever.
Yeah.
And you have to let them talk at first. You have to let them express themselves and ask questions. And why isn't it sold? Well, what price point do you think it's going to be sold? Because that will come out during the conversation. Let them talk. Encourage a little bit more from them. Then you can start with the, okay, here's the plan.
Exactly, okay.
Well,
You-
can I just,
Sure.
I know I'm taking people's time up, but my particular situation is the yellow house on the hill that started out at $759. I have it now down to $475 because I had them have it appraised by Featherston, and you know, he already got a $200,000 or $300,000 price reduction for me by appraising it at $475. And so it's, you know, Tricia Kirksey sold a house practically overnight in the neighborhood for $425, and then she also sold the Lloyd's house on 204 for $625, and
You're fighting it.
I'm fighting that, yeah, and
Is the house weird?
Hmm?
Like yellow house? I don't mean that like, is the house weird, the floor plan?
Really?
Yeah.
Yellow
Well,
houses don't, yellow houses don't sell.
a yellow house.
Really?
It's just-
I can believe it, I guess.
Now, this is coming from a merchant
Yeah.
builder's perspective, and they don't put out yellow houses, right?
No.
Because they know that.
To a point, yeah. It has to be neutral, huh?
The neutral, it depends on the times. Because there's different, decorating, the color schemes, things like that. I mean, you're back in the 80s and it's the Victorian colors, but it's not the Victorian colors anymore.
Yeah.
It's more the Mediterranean colors.
Right.
It's the timing. But right now, it's hard to sell a yellow house.
Yeah.
You could sell a yellow house if it was like a muted.
It's
muted
interesting.
I have a question.
but
So
yellow.
as the agent, if you have reduced it that much already, wouldn't you suggest to have it painted? I mean, that's.
They did paint it. They repainted it yellow.
Okay.
I talked to my contractor last week. He said, I had a yellow house, I couldn't sell it for 3 months, I painted it, the next week it sold.
And sometimes in your mind, you're ready to sell, and it happens because you're ready to sell, because the change you've made and the commitment. Well, I've left Patty's office now, we've had this discussion, we have a planned price reduction, we're painting the house. We're gonna be able to move because now Patty told me it's gonna sell. And their mental state helps them be prepared to sell the house. And just some subtle things, a big, huge, we're gonna spend $10,000 on that house, maybe $16,000, to paint it, a big, huge expense like that, and it will sell just because you spent all that big money. And sometimes, I don't want to do an open house, I don't want to do an open house, but I've got to do something, I've got to let them know I'm doing everything possible. And so I schedule the open house, and it sells before the open house. Because we were ready to get that thing sold, and I was going to do everything.
Yeah,
Maybe not all.
We've not had very good luck in Elderwood with open houses.
Okay, let's move on. One thing, and then we're going to take a break. So look at this, and I got sidetracked on the seller not being in a mental position to sell the home. This is more for us as agents not being in a mental position to earn the money that we have the capacity to earn. Because for some reason we don't think we're worthy, or that we're not smart enough, or we're not gifted enough, or we're too young, we're just too new in the business, and we mentally have all these objections and reasons or excuses as to why we can't succeed, whether it's in the business or in life or whatever. And some of us get depressed because we were relationship-wise screwed up everything we've ever touched, and it's just, or whatever the situation is, I just can't do it, and we become very, very mentally depressed. We have thought ourselves into failure. So this was actually written by Marianne Williamson, but Nelson Mandela gets all the credit for it.